The ocean does not warn you. It does not roar before it deceives you. Sometimes, it simply waits. In the cold, gray northern waters of the medieval world, Viking sailors told stories of something so vast, so unnatural, that it should not have existed. They called it Rofgufa, and according to their own written records, it was real. This was not a dragon, not a sea serpent, not even the kraken. It was an island that breathed. The story appears in a 13th century Norwegian text known as the Konings Skugstje, or the King's Mirror. Now, this wasn't some fantasy tale told round a fire. It was a guide, a manual, a serious work meant to educate a king's son about the known world and its dangers. And within its pages, Rofgufa is described calmly, matter-of-factly, as something a sailor might actually encounter. The text says this creature was so enormous that men mistook it for land. Ships would approach what looked like a rocky island rising from the sea. Some sailors, desperate for a safe harbor, even believed they could anchor near it, but the island had a mouth so wide that entire ships could sail right into it. And when that mouth closed, nothing returned. Now, pause for a moment and think about who we're talking about. The Vikings were not just dreamers lost at sea. These were the same explorers who masterfully navigated the treacherous North Atlantic and settled Iceland. They pushed into the frozen landscapes of Greenland. They even reached the distant shores of North America, what they called Vinland. Centuries before Columbus, they understood the sea. They respected its power. So why would they record something like this? The description of Rofgufa is strangely specific. It was said to lie motionless at the surface, its dark upper body appearing like weathered stone. Its mouth would remain open for long periods, and small fish, seeking what they thought was a sheltered cove, would swim inside. Then, suddenly, it would close. Modern historians have theories. Of course, some believe Rofgufa may have been inspired by real animals. Imagine a massive whale feeding vertically, its mouth agape at the surface, or a basking shark opening its cavernous mouth in the murky water. In the cold northern seas, giant marine animals can float almost completely still. In thick fog, under gray, overcast skies, their dark backs could easily be mistaken for rock. Now, put yourself on that Viking ship. The air is wet and bitter. You've been at sea for days, maybe weeks. Then, you see it on the horizon. Land. The feeling of relief must have been incredible. But as you get closer, something feels off. The shoreline curves unnaturally. The cliffs look too smooth, too dark. The water around it feels strange. Then, the coast moves. The island exhales. And in that one moment, the ocean swallows your entire understanding of reality. What makes the legend of Rofgufa so unsettling isn't just its size, it's the stillness. It doesn't chase you. It doesn't thrash or roar, it waits, almost as if it knows that desperate sailors will come to it. The medieval texts describe it not as a raging monster, but as a known hazard, a presence, something that belongs to the sea. To the Norse, the ocean wasn't just empty water between continents. It was a realm, a living world filled with forces that could trick your eyes and test your mind. The boundary between myth and survival was razor thin, and Rofgufa sits exactly on that boundary. Could it have been an exaggerated whale encounter? Possibly. Could fear and the oral tradition of storytelling have amplified a rare, frightening event into something legendary? Very likely. But here's the part that cannot be ignored. The story was written down. It was preserved. It was treated as knowledge to be passed on, which tells us that somewhere, deep in the collective memory of Viking sailors, something happened. Something so massive, so disorienting, that it became a permanent part of their map of the world. There is a deeper lesson hidden in this story. In the age of Viking exploration, The greatest danger wasn't always the storm or the crashing waves. It was certainty. It was believing you had found solid ground when you hadn't. Rofgufa represents a fear older than dragons. The fear that what looks stable, what looks safe, is not, that what appears to be land is alive. And perhaps that's why this legend survives. Because even today, we all sail through our own oceans of certainty. We see what we expect to see, and sometimes we anchor ourselves far too close to things we do not truly understand. The Vikings called it Rofgufa, an island that wasn't an island, a monster that did not need to hunt, a shape in the fog that should not have existed. And somewhere out in the cold North Atlantic, the ocean is still very, very quiet. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the past. If you enjoyed this story, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more explorations into the strange and forgotten corners of history. See you next time.